Hey there, it's Dr. Andrea Labuti, and today we're going to talk about, is my child gifted or autistic? This is an important topic because we often get hung up on labels, and labels can be really damaging. Now, I get it. You want the autism label because you want to get services, for example. But we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about redefining or reframing the autism label. We're going to talk about what it means to be gifted, what that is. I'm also going to introduce a new label, a more empowering label. So the reason that this topic is really important is your child's educational plan is very much connected to the label your child has. So if they have an autism label or a gifted label, right? But the problem with that is, think about it. When you have an autism label, what are they focusing on? They're focusing on the deficits. If you have a gifted label, it's like everybody's focused on, oh, what that child is so good at. So important topic here, and I want to try to reframe some things for you so you can look at things differently and perhaps get your educational team on board with looking at things differently too. So let's talk about autism, the word. I'd like to reframe the word autism because, and that's part of the work that I'm doing, right? I want to shift the autism paradigm. There is such a stigma behind the word autism, right? People want to cure it. People want to recover their child from autism. And I totally get all that. Autistic adults, by the way, hate that. There is no cure. This is ridiculous. They're trying to ruin us as people or belittle us as autistic, as humans. And I agree because it's the label that's the problem. So I look at autism not as a series of deficits and challenges. I look at a child with autism as somebody that came into the world extremely hypersensitive to everything around them, right? Their brains are wired a little differently. They think differently. And that's a really, really good thing. That's not a bad thing. My child's brilliance is because of his autism. But we get hung up on the label of autism and we want to recover them or cure them from autism because we don't want them to be autistic. But what if we reframe autism as being just a hypersensitive individual, a wired differently individual, and work to focus on what that child's strengths are, not just their deficits. So, it's important because the expectation of a child that has autism versus a child that is gifted are two totally different things. And I want to reframe that for you. I don't want you to think because my child is autistic that all of their potential lies here, but if they're gifted, their potential lies up here. So think about it as, a strengths mindset, really. Instead of thinking of your child with the label, think of your child not with about their challenges so much, but their strengths. And gifted. This is the second part of this. Gifted is. People want their kids to be gifted. They want them to be academic geniuses or musical geniuses. But giftedness can come in many forms. It can be the academics, for sure. You could have a math genius, an ELA genius. I know one of my friends has a son that's 12 with autism, and he is a language genius, which is really ironic because he doesn't talk much. He can't talk much, but he knows different languages. Like, he taught himself Japanese on an iPad. I think that's phenomenal. But he's autistic, and nobody's focusing on the fact that he has all these amazing abilities with language. They're focusing on his deficits. So anyway, I diverged a little there. Gifted can take many forms. Yes, the academics. Yes, musical giftedness, artistic giftedness, language giftedness, visual spatial giftedness. My son is a visual spatial genius, so to speak. He is amazing at his ability to manipulate visual spatial, stuff, learning and details, creating things and putting things together. You can also have athletic giftedness or physical kinesthetic giftedness, right? Like athletes and people like that. So don't just think of giftedness as only academics. It comes in many forms. And, again, when you compare and contrast autism versus gifted, the label really gets in the way. So I'm coming to number 3, which is let's give a new label to our kids. And while the research says there's a very small percentage of autistic kids that are are gifted, this label, it's called twice exceptional or 2E. I actually disagree because I think that every child has a genius something. Okay, there is some genius in every child, no matter what it is. And it's our job as parents to figure out what that strength is. But anyway, the 2E label, I really like that label because it's a very empowering label. So consider if your child is both. Are they autistic and gifted? You don't have to be one or the other. You can be both. And I suspect that a lot of these kids, even these so-called nonverbal low functioning kids, which I hate that label, they are extremely intelligent and gifted in certain aspects. So the take home label here, okay, if sorry, the take home label, the take home message here, if there is only one thing you take away from this, then I want you to stop thinking about a label for your child and think about a strengths mindset. So if you can come up with what is your child really good at, what are they strong at, and focus on that, focus all of your attention on that, you will see your relationship with your child's abilities, everything will start to blossom if you come from a place of a strengths mindset. And it's really important to get your teachers and educators on board with your child's strengths. So if your teacher doesn't know what your child's strengths are and they're not interested in learning, get a new teacher. But if they are interested in learning, be detectives together, figure out what they're really good at, because that's the way your child will be able to thrive. So thank you for listening. Really important topic, but don't let the label lower your expectations, okay? If your child is autistic, look for the gifts, okay? They can be both, and most are. So thanks for listening. Come on over to my website, AndreaLabutti.com, if you're interested in some, downloading some free things, some checklists, and some things that will help you on your autism journey. I am really doing this because I want to change how the world sees autism. I want parents to have the tools that they can use to really help their children thrive and hopefully become independent one day. So thanks for listening and have a great day.